Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your relevant host, Shorty, and I have a little bit of a cold today. I do apologise if I'm a bit sniffly. It's, I think, more of allergies, maybe a cold, I don't know. I will not do it when I'm feeling ill, but there's so many things to review this week. I'm kind of going to power on through, and you have to put me occasionally sniffing. As we review Love Everlasting by Tom King and, sorry, I've forgotten her first name, Elsa Charretier, which I'm probably pronouncing incorrectly. I do apologise. There's going to be some spoilers in this one. It's kind of hard to discuss the nature of the comic book without some spoilers. I do apologize for it. If you'd rather read it first, totally understand. You can leave this review now and read it and then come back and see if we agree. What I will say is it is a good-looking comic book. Elsa's artwork is fantastic. It is very much of the time and setting, and it adds to the time and setting in ways that are really impressive. And the writing is everything I expected it to be for a love story, even though, and here comes a huge spoiler stuff, this isn't just a love story. And that was interesting and fun for me because I went into this with some expectations, and they weren't particularly high. Let's face it. I mean, I'm a big Tom King fan. I've read a lot of his stuff, and he can write really good love stories, including like Vision and Mr. Miracle, both of which have brilliant love stories throughout them. But the difference there is they are not like setting up the romance of it. They're more about a relationship that's already in place and what happens during that period of their lives, and that's good and that's fine. And I don't want to say anything. I don't like romance stories because I do. I actually really like romantic comedies and all that kind of thing. But if I'm completely honest, mostly I tend to find romance as like a story aspect good, not the focus of it. And this is a comic book called Love Everlasting. So I was thinking, yeah, this is going to be a love story. And when I started flicking through it, I realized it wasn't just that. It was actually like an anthology of different love stories, all done like short form kind of storytelling, maybe only a handful of pages each. So it's basically the very quick setup of a romance. And I was reading the first one and thoroughly enjoying the writing style of it. It's clearly set in some kind of 50s, 60s New York, and it's a working girl who falls in love with her best friend's boyfriend, would-be fiance. She ends up working as his secretary, and he breaks up with the best friend, and they get together. And here's the thing that's the big spoiler. When you get to the next story, it's the same woman, should I say, Joan, but now she's leaving behind her well-to-do family in the suburbs and going to downtown to hang out with a beatnik. But she has weird recollections of being with this George fellow. It threw me a little bit at first, I've got to be honest. And I was thinking, okay, this is clearly not what I thought it was going to be. And then, yeah, of course I thought that, because it's Tom King. He's never going to do exactly what you expect him to do. I've said before, when reading his stuff, the best way to experience it is read it monthly as it comes out and then go back and read it all again from the beginning and see how he's woven a story together that takes you where you need to go. There will always have been foreshadowing. There will always have been hints at what the story was going to do. In this case, having read it and then just going back and looked at the cover, that cover is foreshadowing. That cover has part of the story on it. And this is an old trick that comic books used to do a lot back in the Gold and Silver Ages. And it's something I used to really like. I actually really quite like it when we have those old comic books for sale in store and people can read the covers and get a sense of what's going on. And they can be very, very odd. I mean, the Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane stuff is brilliant examples of this. But this is more than that. It isn't just like, here is page one of the story, which is usually the case. It is, here is something which doesn't feel like it's connected at all. It could just be like an advert for something. It's only with hindsight and going back and looking at that cover and thinking, oh, wow, he laid some of this out on Front Street. There was like subtlety, don't get me wrong. You kind of need to know what happens for that bit to make sense. But it does make sense and it's really clever. And all the writing is, there's different time periods that take place in this story. Different viewpoints, even though it's all pretty much Joan, but there's Joan living through various different things. There's even moments of existential horror and dread in it, and every single bit of it is handled with the kind of professional confidence that you expect of Tom King. So my advice is give it a shot. Don't be put off by the idea that this is just a love story that was originally put out on Substack and then just put this. My first thought was this was a bunch of short stories that he'd done on Substack with Elsa, and they'd worked together on these things, and now they'd collected them in a comic book. It isn't that. There is more going on, and I think you should give it a try. Yes, I know if you've got to this review and you haven't read it yet, and now I'm telling you to read it, you're already going to know what's happening, and yes, that might mean there's a spoiler, but it is still worth it. There is still enjoyment to be had from it, and I'd highly recommend giving it the best shot you can. You will be surprised. That's it for me for now. I might do another one today before I go home. There's a lot to review this week. We'll see how it goes. Until then, look after yourself, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.